another episode of the Upperhive Lorekeepers, your number one source for the ins and the outs of the ones with the clouts on the planet of Necromunda. As always, I am your host, the maitre d' of Yulan T, Spamiel of Trazior. And joining me, as always, my partner in crime, the beloved scion of House Koion, the wicked Nathan himself. How are you, cousin?
I'm very good, cousin. Very, very good. I'm very happy that we're doing something for the lessers. It's a wonderful thing.
I mean, it's not often I think to myself, Spamiel, what can you do to help those of lesser breeding, of lesser kind, of, let's be honest, lesser intelligence? And it comes to us where you and I, beloved sons of such lofty noble houses, we come together and we give these just fragments of our knowledge of our beloved noble brothers and sisters to those who live below the wall. Although, can you really call it living?
Absolutely not. I don't think they even have starch tea down there, which is it's a crime against the Imperium, if I am to say. But those who are less fortunate than us, those who do not get to see the wonders and grace, the lifestyle of being amongst the nobility of Necromunda. It's a sad existence, but we, the charitable few that we are, want to give you just a taste, just something that lets you go, wow, I could aspire to that. I'll never make it, of course, because you're from the Underhive.
That's the thing. They just don't have the drive. They
No.
don't have the drive. They lack the natural ability of the spires. Now, you're absolutely right. Now, it's often been said, I remember my tutors often told me, a little bit of knowledge is a very dangerous thing. But in the hands of these underhivers, a dangerous thing is nothing to spirers like you and me. And from that, I think it's a great thing that we're going to pass on to them. We're going to give them the knowledge that people like you and me hold to be just so common, but by offering an insight to some of our noble cousins that maybe the lower kinds are able to draw themselves up and attempt to better their own lives in emulation of what we exist.
Well, just as we take inspiration from other houses around us, the few that are worthy of our note, we wish that the underhivers, the scummers, the ones that are looking up, can take some inspiration from our message and our voice. And perhaps, when you're finished working on the production line, don't take the opportunity to rest. Take the opportunity to better yourself. The factorium is simply one of your tasks, and bettering yourself is another. Sleep is for the wicked.
Like the ecclesiarchy preaches to us every day of our lives. Now, Nathan, we should get into talking about some of the noble houses of our beloved Necromunda. But before we do carry on here, brothers and sisters, I want you all to reach into your hearts. As the ecclesiarchy teaches us, there is no truer action than giving to those less fortunate. And if you are interested in helping those from further beyond the wall, please reach out to patreon.com/the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast.
Who are they?
Now, it's a show I've heard. It's crass base humour, nothing like what we do here.
Right, well below our station. Understood.
Very well below our station, Nathan. Now, although we do this out of the kindness of our heart, I believe those two are 100% funded by the goodwill of individuals such as ourselves. So please reach into those purses, pull out a few Imperial credits, and help out where you can. But Nathan,
Yes. Samuel.
what house?
Sir Spaniel.
Sir Spaniel. I like that. I haven't been called that since I first went below the wall in my hunting rig. Now, what houses are we discussing this fine evening?
We're going to be talking about two wonderful and storied houses. I mean, obviously, they're not on the level of Ranlo or, I dare say, Ulanti, but we still must shine a little bit of light upon them. We are talking about House Greim, or as they like to pronounce it, Greim, and to a lesser state, House Catallus. Exactly.
Many things can be said about these houses, and their inability to pronounce their own name is one of them, let me tell you.
Very much so. Very much so.
Well, let's get into it here. And if we are going to start with House Greim. House Greim owns huge portions of Necromunda's weapons manufacturing capacity and has proclaimed itself the preeminent military family of the entire Hive world. Despite that billing, though, the vast majority of Greim's nobles have never actually seen a battle. This has not stopped them, however, from wearing campaign medals and ornamental weaponry as they march about the spire conducting business like the house is constantly waging war. And perhaps they are, for in the struggles between the great houses, the scions of Greim have survived for centuries, using one stratagem or another to outwit their foes. It also helps that the house claims ownership of the titles and structures of Necromunda's militia regiments, from which the Astra Militarum draws troops to serve the Imperium. This means many militia commanders, as well as representatives for the Imperial Guard, owe House Greim for their commission and their position on Necromunda. This is perfect. Like, it reminds me of all of those minor nobles from, like, you know, the Great War, the Second World War, these like weird military dictatorships and that pop up, you know, through Africa and Asia and that sort of thing. And you look at them and you're just like, oh, so your name is Supreme Commander, you know, Rambo? Oh, okay. And your son is like Lance Admiral Ridgy Didge. Like,
Yeah. You can tell they're made up titles. You can tell they're things that just like, okay, you get to pick what rank you have. Oh, you want to be Super Duper Carrier 6.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We don't have that position, but guess what? In about 3, 2, sign this bit of documentation, boom, we have a Super Duper Admiral Carrier 6. That is you, my son. I know you're only 12, but you are in command of 10,000 troops.
Yeah, well, it's the perfect example of feudal society in sort of like a futuristic setting.
Yes.
They're doing the same thing. They're just because, you know, they're history buffs. They're armchair generals. They're the ones sitting there going, if I was in charge of the Solar Macarian Crusade, it would have been 5,000 worlds. I never would have let that sector fall. It never would have done that under me. I would have brought my Baneblades up on the left flank instead of the right flank. And people who actually know what they're talking about are like, there were no Baneblades at that battle. What is he talking about?
Exactly.
Did he just...
But the counterintuitive to that would be, well, that shows you they were unprepared. They didn't bring Baneblades.
Yeah,
They should have brought
where were your
Baneblades.
Baneblades?
If I was there, I would have brought Baneblades. And this is where House Greim fully encompasses that idea of that, you know, disassociated nobility from the main battle. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
you take somebody like a Gaunt's Ghost or something like that, you know, Ibrahim Gaunt, and the way he commands his troops by going, whoever's close to the battle, you work it out. Do you know what I mean? So there's a great part in one of the books, and you'll have to forgive my memory a bit, but I think it's Major Rawn, and Gaunt has to give him command of that forward situation, because even though he doesn't like him, even though he doesn't like the way he commands, he respects that on the ground there, he is the best person to be running the show. He's too far behind the lines to worry about it. The members of House Greim, they don't see it like that. They would see it as like, no, my orders stand true. I can't see what's going on there. I don't know what's going on, but I've told you to charge. But we can't charge because, the enemy's counterattacking us with, 10,000 squeak hoppers. Or, not that they exist in 40k, but...
we can't charge the cavalry into those trenches. Like, the horses will fall. It's like... But eventually the horses will fill the trenches. Like, why? How are you not seeing what I'm saying here? It's like...
Obviously, and then we bring up our Beyblades.
This
We
is
did bring
insanity.
Beyblades, didn't we?
Did we bring Beyblades? But I love it, the fact that they wear campaign medals that they've never actually been on the campaign. They're wearing this fancy ornamental weaponry. They are dressing up as soldiers, but it seems to be working for them because they are in control of the planetary militias. The troops that are being taught to be loyal to the Imperium and then House Greim and then whoever you want, they are loyal to House Greim first. And then they go to join the Astra Militarum in the Necromundan regiments. And they're retaining these favours because the militia commanders that just happen to grease the right pole or, pay the right bribe or whatever they need to do there, they're getting those positions because those members of House Greim have given them favour. And that is a chit that will always be called in when it benefits the house.
Absolutely. And it sort of echoes a little bit of the Orlok motto, my clan before my house.
Like gang before my house
sorry.
before the rest.
Yes, that's it. Sorry. And so it's in a little bit of a way like that. It's like, okay, well, I serve the Astra Militarum, but before that, there's a reason why I'm here, and that is for House Greim.
Yep.
So I will be doing whatever I can to keep them in favour with me. You know what I mean? Or making sure that they can't undermine my position or have me sent off to some ridiculous war zone where they know the planet is going to be exterminated, but they go and put troops there just to draw, I don't know, some tendril of a Tyranid hive fleet towards it. And they sit there and go, well, we've got to send 1 million guardsmen there, so the Tyranids actually are tempted to do it. And this poor little officer who pissed off a noble from House Greim has just gone, uh-oh, I'm in trouble here.
I'm in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's these different houses, these different factions who would be sending in their troops to serve in militias, second, third, fourth born children, who are in the militia or who are in the guard. At the end of the day, that officer who was from House Greim still remembers that, his great-great-grandfather's first wife's brother, he was betrayed by that house ran low. Or he was betrayed by Catallus. So, a little bit of friendly fire never goes astray in those situations because, let's be honest, they're still nobles, they're still nut jobs, and they're still remembering that it's very tit for tat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely indeed. But I'll go into our next little bit of read because you can get stuck a little bit on this politicising of the whole, how officers are picked and how regiments are formed and sent off. So anyway, our next part is the house also inspects and tests the ordnance created by the clan houses, and the finest creations are marked with Greim's family symbol. In a form of blatant favouritism, these marked ordinances are then gifted to House Greim's prize battalions and companies. Planetary Governor Gerontius Helmawr is well aware of this, but willingly tolerates it, much like he does of Greim's military delusions of grandeur. He knows that by allowing the house's nobles to play at soldier, they will support him against the other houses, all at the cost of a few shiny medals. So this is the leadership, and it would be interesting to know if Aranthus would do the same, but I imagine they would. They go on.
Didn't
You look
House
like you're gonna
Grime send all of those militia regiments to hide?
Oh, they did too.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, they did too.
I don't think Aranthus is going to be showing much favour to them at all.
Yeah, that is very true. So, but I guess the key thing from this is that Helmawr, we'll use Helmawr as the reference point here.
Yeah.
Helmawr understands that you need to have this. You need to have this military wing, this military arm of your government, your structure, your hierarchy, whatever the case might be. And basically, in this weird way, Necromunda is at peace. There's no grand global conflict afflicting them that is having to mobilize their army. Because I think if there was a situation like that, then it would certainly draw the rest of the Imperium. And the only one that comes to mind for me is Hive Secundus. The PDF and the Astra Militarum are mobilised to go fight there. And it becomes this long, drawn-out, protracted war, which is perfect for what House Grime want as well. But it's also, a way to generate more income from their war machine, a way to generate more activity. And so the Helmawrs would let it continue in a fashion to say, okay, well, as long as what's happening in Secundus doesn't get outside of Secundus, you want 20 years for that war, you want 30 years, doesn't matter. That's a drop in the ocean in the timeline of the Imperium. So go for it.
And I've just grabbed my copy of the Ruins of Yardlin here. Yeah, it was House Randlow and House Grime made a secret alliance to preserve their power against the return of House Aranthus. Battalions of Grime Hive militia are ferried by Randlow stratoplanes, yes, to forbidden cities across Necromunda. Their orders to seal the military bases against all intrusion and wait for word from their masters. I think you're absolutely right in what you said earlier. The loyalty has been purchased very, very well, with them getting their shiny medals and running the militias. Grime knows Aranthus may not hold the same deal. So, Grime's getting the weapons that are produced by Orlok and Escher and Goliath and Vansara, etc., etc., etc. And they're getting them all. They pick the best. They stick their own sticker over the Escher sticker or the Goliath crayon or, and then they go, yep, we made this, and we're going to put those in those boxes, and they're going to go to our militia. As long as the 99% still goes to the tithe, Helmawr sits there going, listen, buddy, I know what you're doing. It's absolutely fine. But if anyone rises up against me, you're on my side of this table, remember? Yes, absolutely. And that proves it. I think that proves it, where Grime has turned around and said, hey, Randlow, I don't like you and you don't like me. But come on.
But you are always running low on ammo, so you need my help. Yes. Anyway, it's fine. It's from a very long time ago I made that joke. Anyway, two things I want to say about that. Number one, the Aranthians have their own army, right? And so this puts House... This puts House Grime... Is it Grime? Grime? What are we saying, Grime?
I'm saying Grime. You're saying Grime.
Oh, we'll say Grime. Yeah. Right. This puts House Grime on the back foot because they don't become the premier military organisation on the planet. They don't become the ones that are in control of it. It's so simple for Aussie Aranthus, to come in place and go, this is now my army, and it is run by X, Y, and Z candidates, and they are all going to be either become part of House Grime, or we're going to supplant House Grime. Either way, that monopoly of power that you have is completely gone. See you later.
That is exactly how I see it. they're not doing this out of loyalty to
Helmawr.
Helmawr or anything like that. They're loyal to the relationship they have with Helmawr because
Yes.
it benefits them in the form of free guns.
Yeah.
But the moment this Aranthian army has shown up, those white-robed, tall-helmeted, archeo weapon equipped monsters, and these militias that are popping up under Lady Credo that are all now being seen as genuine fighters of House Aranthus. I'm imagining House Greim going, "Oh no, no, no! This is our thing. Don't
Yep.
don't try and take our thing. Did they just take our thing?
That's exactly what
Are we
happened.
thingless now?
Do we actually have to fight?
Yeah. Do we? But it's the number of times in these
See this
books.
last pistol? This
Yeah.
last pistol doesn't fire. Like it, I don't think it was ever built to fire. So
This is
if
a
I have
gunny.
to draw this.
He just bites out of it. Look, it's gummy.
No,
But
it's just
there's
like
a couple.
things made out of chocolate. It's just like the metals are made out of chocolate. Is everything chocolate? Yeah.
What book was it?
By the way, just very quickly, before I forget, we'll come back to it. We'll circle back around. Gang idea.
Oh, dude, I have so many gang ideas from this.
Right, okay. Yeah.
But was it Cinderak burning where the House Grime went to attack that settlement?
Yeah.
And the gang has kicked the snot out of them and then just took all of their super high powered cannons and guns.
Yeah. Absolutely beat the shiatsu out of them.
Yes.
And they were just like, oh, right, that was an actual battle. Because it was the elite battalions. It was like their elite regiments and companies and all that. And these are ones who have just got into place through nepotism or through favouritism or whatever the case might be. They probably never fired a gun in their life. And they haven't even worked their way up from the Underhive. They've just been placed into positions, and now they're being mobilised and activated for warlike conditions, and they have no idea. They're just, it's probably some big adventure to them, and it gets turned into a living nightmare for them.
Yep.
And get their teeth kicked in.
Yeah, it was the hardened gangs of Gore Hollow. The House Grime Krieg Lord von Hausen plays general and personally leads a battalion of his own house guard, with attendant armoured vehicles and even artillery, against the Ashway settlement of Gore Hollow to re-establish his house's southern tradeways. The soldiers of Grime, not to mention the command abilities of von Hausen, prove woefully inadequate in the face of the hardened gangs of Gore Hollow. So genuinely, I'm picturing these as, and in fact, I'm picturing a lot of House Grime's military tactics, I think, where they've watched, is it The Patriot with Mel Gibson?
Yeah,
Where-
so like Napoleonic era style.
Napoleonic
marching
era
forward.
style thing, like where they're all standing in their lines and it's like, the front row drops down onto a knee and it's first rank fire, second rank fire, which to this day, in my opinion, is the greatest order you can give in an Imperial Guard army.
Yes, the best.
But that's how I'm imagining them doing it. And they're heading their ranks in first rank, second rank, first rank, second rank, and they're lining up their artillery. And then these gangers are just like, yeah, that's cool. Shoot the officers.
Shoot the officers.
Shoot the officers. Shoot them.
There's actually a brilliant movie if you've never watched it, and if you haven't watched it out there in podcast land, go watch it. It is Last of the Mohicans.
Oh, don't.
It is actually one of my favourite movies of all time.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis, yep, brilliant movie. But there's a scene in there where the British column, they're retreating from a fort. They get ambushed, and when they fire in their ranks, what the Native Americans do is they hide behind the trees, right?
Yep.
And so the bullets will just go into nothing, and then they come out, and then they hide again when the second rank goes to fire. That's what I see the gang is doing, is like they're advancing on them. They see the first rank getting ready to fire. They just go get some cover, and then they just continue getting closer and closer, and they're like, yeah, you've got some really nice las guns. You've even got some very shiny, sexy, like, heavy stubbers and auto guns, and you've got brilliant range and targeters and, monoscopes and all this stuff. But when we're, 30, 40, meters away from you, and we're able to lob grenades at you and fire
Yep.
my
Yep.
rusty stub gun at you, and maybe even throw a knife that distance. Who knows? All of that finery that you have matters for nothing because you're about to eat dirt big time. So
But I'm also picturing stuff like where the Gore Hollow has tunnels and that, and they've got night like close combat gangers, just nutters with like punch daggers and like combat shotguns, and they've just got into that close range and they're ripping
yes.
and tearing. Or I'm picturing like IEDs on the roadside, or like improvised like pit drops and booby traps, and they're doing this and this von Hausen the whole time. It's just like these savages aren't fighting with honor, and the gangers are like, is this clown seriously standing there in a line shooting at us?
Yeah. But even if they're not, even if they're dispersing, they'd be fighting to such a regimented and formulaic way, whereas the gangers are just more sort of flow like the breeze sort of thing.
Yeah.
Find a nice hidey hole to shoot from there until you're discovered, and then scarper. Move on to the next one. You got 6 grenades, throw 6 grenades. You got a broken bit of glass strapped to your fist. Yeah, it's a punch dagger now. These guys are like, oh well, if we're going to fight in close combat, we've got to fix bayonets. By the time it takes them to fix bayonets, it's like, oh, good night, Irene. It's time for sleepy time in the hollow.
Some pissed off former Orlok has gotten up to you with like a chain dagger and is currently gutting your brother.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
A fixed bayonet can't. He hacked my arm off.
Exactly. Well, you've got to go requisition a new arm or something to replace that before you can. And the only way we can fight is fixed bayonets. So look, this is what I was talking about. Like
this is us really hanging a lot of shit on Greim.
Well, they actually annoy me because they, I know we're giving them a bit of hell, but they kind of deserve it as well. And I'd mentioned it earlier about what they did at Secundus. Helmawr's probably happy for him. Well, it was actually a different Helmawr at the time. It obviously wasn't old G-Banger himself. G-Banger Helmawr. It was Sire Helmawr. Right, yes. Sire Helmawr didn't want the war to last as long as it did, but it showed the failings and the toy soldiers, the toy soldier army of House Greim, of what it was, because Jürgen Greim, it says that he mustered the army group Primus. So this is an army group. This is not a battalion of what we're talking about, Attack the Hollow.
That's right.
This is huge. This is a monstrous force. And he then sends in the militia divisions of Tracer 12th and the Kronos 19th, and they return and they're battered. They're absolutely hammered because they underestimate what it's going to be like going into Secundus. And they continue to piecemeal their way into Secundus, knowing that they're getting beaten, but they're just like, well, this is how we fight as House Greim. So the Aranthian army would be such a threat to House Greim. This is a proper army. This is an army that comes in and kicks teeth in.
I look at the militias of House Greim as like they are in my mind, like 4 out of 10, right? Because their officers are only 5 out of 10. Because the ones who taught them may have been 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
And it's getting a little bit worse each generation, but that's because their tactics are based on something that I genuinely believe they've read in a book, or they've seen old movies about, or at one point there was an Imperial Guard regiment who came in and was just like, okay, cool, we're going to teach you how to be going back to the Horus Heresy, those Solar Auxilia legions that came with the regiments that came with the Imperial Fist, to take Necromunda back for the Imperium. Like, I'm picturing them having handed down this information, and because Greim has been the house to take it over, have allowed it to almost be watered down.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
no
absolutely.
longer what it should be, but it's degraded into what it is.
Yeah, but
And
then
you're
they're not adaptive. That's their problem.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
because they are very feudal in that mindset.
Hmm.
Without their officers, I see them as they are willing troops, they are competent troops, but they're not competent troops.
So the definition needs to be made here. This is the personal army of House Crime, the PDFs.
100%.
This is the whatever Astra Militarum that they keep close to their chest, their own
Yep.
battalions, their own companies, whatever the case might be. Once these Necromundans move away and they join the 8th or they join any other regiments from that planet, once they begin to separate themselves and actually have to take on, we'll call them modern tactics or, modern Astra Militarum tactics, once they have to take on different war zones and they have to understand that the battle, the experience that they gain from that can be incorporated back into their training, that's when they begin to have this real big shift away from House Grime. And so I believe that, their war in Secundus would have helped create some more intelligent and switched on officers, but the feudal system of their house would have just scuppered all that.
Stifled
Just
that immediately.
stifled, that's
Yes,
the word.
yes.
Would have stifled the hell out of it.
I believe the Necromundan regiments, and we will get back to our reads, we always do this.
Yeah.
I believe the Necromundan regiments are only as effective as they are because I believe the majority of them, because it's always mentioned that they're from the Spider clan,
Yeah.
they are gangers. They
Yeah.
are not militia. The militia are still, I think, a rung above your average underhiver on the societal structure. I think they're made up of that strata of population above Underhiver, but they're the majority of the Necromundan 8th, for example, I believe are gangers, and they are fluid. They are able to adapt to situations because they have not spent their whole lives being taught by some house grime idiot to, nope, unless you're told to shoot, you don't shoot. No, 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 you never, you dial your power supply down to 30% to make sure you're getting the most shots out of your clip. Whereas a ganger's just sitting there going, no, that orc has a whole heap of armour, I'm dialing this bad boy up to 100%, I'm only going to get 2 shots, but I'm guaranteed you're going to hit him in the face with one of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's where I think the Imperial Guard side of the Necromundan sort of military is better because it is from an untrained source. They
Yeah,
train
but-
each other.
But they still do draw from that PDF of
Yes.
that is House Crime.
Purely
so
for
there would be a
numbers.
certain amount of regiments that would go off from Necromunda who, you're probably thinking you're going to get the Necromundan 8th or one of their other famous regiments, and you get one that's majority drawn from House Grime's PDF force.
Yeah.
And you're just
And
like, well,
We've
they
got a
got
regiment
wiped
of trench diggers and guards.
out. Yeah, exactly.
You're in
Wouldn't
the
even let
guard,
them-
son, and you're in the guard, son.
They're just allowed to guard each other. Like it's just the safe bet. Like these guys are they're proper idiots. So we got to keep them away. Anyway, I want to roll back to what I was talking about. My game
Go and
idea.
wash my Russ.
Yeah, exactly. But I've already washed it, boss. Just
He
please.
throws mud on it. Wash
Yeah.
it again. Okay.
gang idea.
What's your gang idea?
So my gang idea are the representatives from House Grime who go and grab all the fine weapons. Right? So this gang would be disgusting because what it is you take Venators, right? And you make them all look, they're all militaried up. They all look like, over the top Imperial Guard. So like plumed helmets.
Super ostentatious. Like,
Yes, absolutely. Like just almost floppish in a way. But the weapons they carry are absolute number one guaranteed showstoppers. So the plasma
Yes.
cannon's considered quite low key in this gang.
Yep,
You would have, I can't think of an amazing
gold-plated,
looking-
master-crafted bolter with
Yes.
laser sight and... I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. So the gang leader would have Yeah, and they'll all be equipped with range weapons. They know close combat's not their cup of tea. They
Yep.
all got range weapons. They got fancy plasma guns. They got fancy grenade launchers. Anything that is just the most god awful weapon to take in Necromunda, these ones have it, and they all are these bespoke, beautifully manufactured, almost handmade type weapons.
Yeah.
And they would have the armor to match as well. The look of them, the aesthetic of them. There might be only like 5 or 6 of them because you don't need a lot to go do weapon inspection, but each one is just adorned with nonsense.
No, I love this because I'm picturing them, chestfuls of medals.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, and it'll be Wilhelm, Clester von Greim, and then it'll be his eldest son because he's a third cousin 4 times removed through marriage, but he's still got the name, so he's still, old. What's the name of Ludwig, the Lord of Grime? Still sends him a card on his birthday. It's signed by a servitor, but he still gets one.
Yes.
So then he'd have his bodyguards, and who would be I'm picturing them as like the actual muscle in your gang. They're the actual veterans that have come back, and they're actually doing it.
Oh no! I don't see them as veterans. I still see them as these sycophantic, floppish type things. But they're a little bit more clued. They're a bit more switched on. They don't lead the noble life. They're still bullied and pushed around. It's like it's kind of like the house servants of an old manor or something. They understand how the house actually works. So they haven't seen a lot of battles, but they've certainly been in the Underhive. They've certainly been down on the streets. They've certainly had their own bar brawls and shootouts and everything like that. But they're not veterans. They're not veterans because they keep themselves close to their little protectorate here, so that they don't get sent away to the Dust Wall, so they don't get sent away to an Astra Militarum regiment or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, they keep themselves safe. But they
Okay,
know
I like
the
that.
way to keep themselves safe is to keep their boss alive at all costs. Because as soon as he goes, that little comfy seat is gone, and they get shipped off on the next troop transport to, some death world in the middle of nowhere, just to be, an orc punching bag for 0.6 seconds.
Go dig the latrines.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, speaking of gangs, Grime also has strong ties to House Goliath, who they have counted to be among their close allies for many generations. As a result, House Goliath has been bestowed lucrative Astra Militarum weaponry contracts, and Grime even sends its lower-ranked nobles to join Goliath's Underhive gangs as military advisors. Known as Krieg Mesters, they also both serve to oversee the field testing of weapons Grime has funded, and also keep an eye on the investments placed on House Goliath. For one day, House Grime hopes to field a regiment composed entirely of Goliaths, which only the sanction of Governor Helmawr and the Imperium's distrust of abhumans has prevented, though the time might yet come when House Grime sends the Goliaths to march to war. Okay, I will take your gang idea and raise you an army idea.
Yeah, right. It's going to be all Cawdor.
It's going to be a bunch of Cawdor.
Who are running from an army of
nothing.
Goliath.
Yeah, running away from an actual army of Goliath. Like, hear me out. You'll have your Kriegmeister as your regimental commander.
Yep.
All right, then his command squad would be those sycophants you were talking about before.
Yep.
You'd have the family doctor as your medic. You'd have the regimental standard would be the standard of the Krieg, of House Krieg, etc.
House Grime.
Krieg, yeah. House Grime.
Yeah.
House Krieg. Different army. Different army.
Yeah, but it's still a similar sort of process.
Very
Birth them in vats and then send them off to war.
And send them off to war. They're all very German as well. But yeah, literally, and then the whole army is just Goliaths, but in like ill-fitting Astra Militarum helmets and flak armor, and I'm picturing just like their chimeras would be open topped. So the Goliath can basically just do the whole orc thing and put the guns out and just blaze.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. And you'd have a tank commander in like a Dawn, and he'd be another Greim.
Yes, absolutely. I was about to say.
Yeah, with in the fine uniform with the medals, and drive me closer so I can hit them with my sword.
No, see,
would
I
love
see it
that.
as House Grime would be in charge of all the things they wouldn't trust the Goliaths to touch. So, vehicle commanders, maybe, do you know what would be absolutely cool? House Grime, like House Cavalry. And it's their Rough Riders, but they're really well done up and so forth. And like they weigh, like, they actually have like large banners and really ostentatious. And when they turn up to a battlefield, they're there, and they're there to inspire the rest of the Goliath army. You know what I mean? So it's just like, one day you may be up on this level, but the Goliath, I would see it as an entirely infantry focused force. So, manning heavy weapons, infantry on foot sort of thing.
Yes.
So mounted mechanized infantry. I'm just trying to think what else. You would even have their own command squad.
Oh yeah, it'd be like those Forge tyrants that they're, where he's got the guy that's talking to the Grime who comes back to the Forge boss, and it's just like, all right, boss, but he'd most likely be like a Forge born in my mind.
Yeah.
And he'd come across, be like, yeah, these are the orders, and the Forge tyrant, he's got that big cigar. He's just these knots of scar tissue and poor cybernetics, and he's like, all right, let's get this done.
Yeah.
And what you've said there, the Grime cavalry, I'm picturing them as like British lancers, where they've got the sashes and the big hats, and they're very ostentatious, and they're looking down at the Goliaths who, are in the mud and that, but they're laughing because they're like, oh yeah, look at the pretty boys on their horses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they're there to show them the nobility that they're actually serving, and the fact that they're off their planet, the fact that they're fighting is not for anything that they have done, it's for all of these higher ups who have brought them here to gain a greater name for House Goliath on a galactic scale, It's cool.
That.
I mean, it would never happen because the Imperium would go, oh, they were really, really effective. A little too effective. Stomp them out.
Which planet did they come from? Necromunda. Yeah. Kill whoever's in charge.
Yeah.
And then bring me 4 more regiments of these monsters.
Yeah, exactly. And 3 for testing, 1 for use. But so, look, I mean, the strong alliance with the gang would mean that you could have a House Goliath member as part of a House Grime gang.
I would have him 100% as almost like a, you've gone to this Goliath gang that you're giving them the new weapons and that sort of thing, and it's, I need one of your gang to come with me, and the boss is like, what do you want him for? So I need him or her to keep me alive. They're going to be my muscle, and it's like, and it'll be a champion or something of the gang. It's like, let's call him, I don't know. I genuinely can't remember a name. It isn't Timmy.
Gavin.
Not Gavin. Oh, big Gavin.
Gavin the Goliath. Yeah.
Gavin comes over. He's got the metal mohawk, and basically before smoking a dirty old stogie, tattoos, scar tissue, and it's like, follow him, keep him alive. And Gavin's like, all right. and then so he's got like the like a simple jerkin type top thrown over his forge plate that he ends up sticking spikes through and that sort of thing. And this House Grime guy will walk into like a really nice cafe or something in the upper hives, and this Goliath is just standing there like slouched in a tiny chair, drinking from a teacup.
He's got an accustomed flavour for it. He's like, this good, this good, yum. Yep.
I don't actually picture him drinking the tea, but I can imagine him just looking really uncomfortable in these situations. And then,
but has he just been given an empty cup, like you give kids like an empty cup?
He'd be drinking like he's drinking like paint thinner and pumpkin spice because it's the only thing that keeps him like at least interested in the situation. But then some poor bastard from another house, accidentally bumps into him. And next thing you know, this Goliath just has a hand around his throat and is just lifting him, like, don't touch him.
Yeah.
And this Grime noble's just like, that's right. Yeah. You don't touch me. Who do you think you are?
Now you drink some of his tea.
Drink the paint thinner. Yeah. No, that's how I picture this. I'm just like, I would love to see this House Grime guy with this huge, like, just absolute Hulk of a Goliath as like his, not necessarily his personal bodyguard, but almost like, he would view the Goliath as property, 100%.
100%. It was like, I've earned this because of blah, 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 whatever favour I've done for House Goliath or whatever the case might be. But it's almost like you take on a member of House Goliath rather than get an Ogren bodyguard because there's a little bit more autonomy there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Almost like an indentured servant.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But, there's such a close link between Goliath, the House Goliath and Ogrens. Surely House Grime would have dabbled in having like combat units of Ogrens that are sanctioned by them. Oh, gang idea.
Oh, that's a gang idea right there.
A House Grime sanctioned slave Ogren gang. So they're equipped with they're equipped with funky looking weaponry. Like you can still run it as the normal stuff, say hammers and sledges and everything, but none of it's like looking particularly rudimentary or particularly agricultural.
Yeah.
It's all made to look more militaristic, more, refined, and they're actually a gang that is used as a terror weapon. Oh, that's how you do it. You do these like face masks on them that don't show any of their face. So slave Ogrens.
Oh,
yes.
Like,
imagine slave Ogrens with like, a hockey mask type deal.
Like the Casey Jones mask from... Yes.
And they use
like Jason Voorhees.
Yes, exactly. There you go. And so they're a pure terror weapon. And they're designed by House Grime to show how powerful they could implement and use abhumans within their army if they chose to. So again, another gang where you could just be a filthy individual and take them with the best armor, the best guns, the best everything that you can get for them. And they'd have a handler. I don't know how you would run the handler. Oh, it would be as a house agent.
As a house agent.
A house agent who's attached to them. And they are just this absolute killer unit that is designed. And, from a lore perspective, you would like to see it only as maybe 3 or 4 members. But obviously from a gang perspective, it's a bit harder to run that on the tabletop. But from that lore perspective, they're designed to, go kick the teeth in of anybody who steps outside of what House Grime is wanting to make happen. They send in these slave Ogrens, and then sometimes they go off and they attach them to a battalion of their troops just to say, we're watching you.
But you could go real Imperial with this, and you'd really have to be able to play the trading post at gang creation or do it as an Iron Man gang. Go the Ogrens, go them as full close combat weapons,
Oh, yeah.
And then give them like, axes and mauls and that sort of stuff. And then the ceramite shields.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And do them up almost as like an Underhive bullgrin.
Oh, that would be cool.
And then you have your house agent, so he's going down with this bodyguard unit of Ogrins,
Yeah.
done up as almost like Bullgrins from Timu. But they go in and it's just like, yeah, cool, I'm here to absolutely smash face for House Grime. Dude, I love that.
I would almost have like shock collars or some sort of inhibitor put onto them as well in the back of their helmets. So like a little radio control type thing. Give them a little zap, or it's all sort of spoken word commands directly into their brain.
Or do them all as Lobos.
Perfect.
So they're literally at his control. Now, do you do that, or do you give them friends on collars? And he's going in there, basically going, all right, you've been intercepting our shipments, or you've been buying from our opponents. You're going to stop that. Oh, you don't want to? I'm just going to pull out this little remote control here and press this. And my 6 friends here are going to kill everyone in your settlement. How would you like to continue? Because, outside the settlement, there's that little regiment of House Grime militia, and, they're playing, catch the bayonet with your butt cheeks. Whatever it is, whatever it is they do for fun. I always win that game. But this guy's standing there with his Ogrins being like, yeah, they are literally just here to pack our bags and take everything we can find afterwards. These 6 are the ones that are going to kill you all.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the gang I see for that sort of like sanctioned Ogren gang. Yeah,
So,
that would be sick.
So if you were to see them as that, then friends on collars, yes, because it's like I flick the switch and I don't stick around. I walk away. I come back.
I walk away first.
Half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yep.
And I come back with those 100 men outside, and we flick the switch again. The 6 lads have a bit of a snooze, and we loot whatever's left and kill whoever's left. Done. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I love it.
Right. Well, speaking of something like an attache, that's almost like a military attache sort of thing, right? Or an Ogren attache.
An Ogren attache, yeah.
So the House Grime also have access to the military attache.
Yeah, which are the models we know and love. In fact, I have them here, and I just need something to do with them. And that Goliath army is kind of getting to me.
Just making you teeter over towards them. No, you have a tournament to prepare for, sir. Right. While the upper echelon of House Grime would never countenance setting foot on an actual battlefield, even from the relative safety of an Astra Militarium Leviathan command transport, they have no qualms about sending their lower ranked sons and daughters down high to experience a bit of real warfare. Kriegmasters are lesser nobles of the house who keep an eye on their parents' investments. No less pompous for their lower standing, they dress and act like officers of the Imperial Guard, replete with their own uniforms and fancy weaponry. Competent in combat, if not born for it, they are never seen without their Jägerkin, bonded servants of House Grime, drawn from the veterans of the militia or the Imperial Guard, and tasked with keeping their Kriegmaster alive. Attached to Underhive gangs, Kriegmasters offer tactical advice and oversee the field testing of House Grime-funded weaponry. Most gang leaders tolerate the presence of a Kriegmaster because of the wealth their noble house offers, or because their own clan house has coerced them into cooperation. Occasionally, though, the noble officer really knows what they are talking about, and on their advice, some gangs have managed to turn the tide against their enemies, or win battles that seemed all but lost. So you have these little diamonds in the rough. I can imagine our Ogren attache is not one of those diamonds in the rough.
He's more of a coal in the stocking.
He most certainly is. He's like, I got 6 big lads and no desire to be anywhere near the action. See you later, boys. Yeah.
I love that there's like the tippity top of House Grime. They would never think stepping foot on an actual battlefield is a good idea, even if they're in a Leviathan command transport, like which is what War Masters and Lord Solars ride around in, except for that one Lord Solar who has a horse.
Don't knock that.
No, I love.
Oh, okay.
that.
I thought you were knocking that. That's
Oh
brilliant.
god,
That's 40k.
40k to me is Rough Riders and line infantry. I know I hung a lot of shit on House Grime earlier, but line infantry, cavalry, like artillery, basically Napoleonic era warfare, but with laser guns and jet fighters.
Big tanks and Titans. Yeah.
Yes, and Titans, and that mindset of, well, hey, that's a Hierophant Bio-Titan. All right, boys, who's going to get it with their bayonet first?
Exactly.
Like, let's do it. Yeah.
Charge. Lower your lances and charge.
Lower your lances and charge.
Yeah,
but House
exactly.
Grime, they're just like, I'm not doing that. No.
But do you know what? Tactically speaking, that's a very clever idea because Leviathan, big target, they go, I'm not standing in that. That's dangerous. Nor am I standing in the trenches. That's also dangerous. What about up in space on one of the cruisers? No. Big target. Dangerous. What about on your planet and your stronghold? Perfect. Perfection.
You know what, though? I have 9 children that I don't particularly like.
Yes.
They need to get a job.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sick of them mooching off me and they're picking up bad habits from me not doing anything. So...
And when they're gone, I can make more kids.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll like some of them.
Exactly. Like, the Astral Militarum can have 6 of my kids. The Underhive can have 2 more, and then one of them I'll keep around just as an attaché to Lord Helmawr, just see if they can spy for me. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the attaché is a great way of incorporating this pompous, know nothing, hopefully gets something from you per noble who may probably not do anything for your gang, but is such a good way to incorporate the Imperial Guard, the Astra Militarum, or even the local PDF into your gang. So
oh hell yes.
Up on the dust wall, like why do we not have attachés all over the place? It'd be a perfect case for it. You imagine enforcers with a military attaché. Oh, that'd be so cool.
That would be sick. Or or an Arbites attaché.
Yeah.
Sorry, Arbos.
Arbos. Are you saying like run the Grime attaché as an Arbo?
Yeah, and the Jägerkin as like an Arbite sergeant. So the military attaché would be like a captain of the Arbos, and then the Jägerkin would be maybe like a detective or something, or like a homicide detective. They're all wizened and willing to sort of bend the rules, shoot like the bad guy in the leg, and be like, no, you can't run away. But yeah, that's how I'd run them for the enforcers.
That's cool. Yep. That would be actually really cool because then it would be like the Arbites just going, no, you're doing that wrong. No. And the enforcers are just sitting there going, yeah, we know. We're not here to abide by the rules. We're here to just like enforce the will of Helmawr. That's it.
Yeah, we're not real cops. We are literally a gang with badges.
Yes, exactly. That's such a cool way to run them. I would love that actually. But yeah, I think what you could actually do with a Greim attaché is, I don't know, maybe guard up your gang a little bit. Maybe he's on a recruitment drive as well. Gang idea.
Well, that's literally what they do during the campaign. They run the risk of basically stealing your gangers and sending them to the militia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the downside to signing on with House Grime. They occasionally be like, hey, that guy, yeah, He tripped and signed up for the militia, and he's gone now.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy. I love it. Because he can actually die too.
Yeah, it's just like fighter disappears, roll an injury. If they die, sucks to be you. And you get, but if they survive, they get experience. It's basically like, so Timmy was standing there, and it's like, hey, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. And instead of cleaning, I sent him for a quick tour on the dust wall, and he died. So here is 35 credits. I will not be taking questions.
We got Timmy's dog tags back. Yeah, that is crazy that they can do. So I've never used house attaches in any of my games. I don't even look at that section. I guess it's one of the reasons why we're doing this series as well, is that I felt like I knew nothing about the nobles, and I was like, surely there must be other people out there who are like me. But that is such a cool rule to have, because it allows them, like, you know, when that gang member comes back, you give them something from their time at the PDF, or you give them, you know, a bit of war gear or armour or something that they clearly picked up while being on service.
Yeah, well, I think you would have to do like a new model for them and give them a little bit of like, give them the guard helmet or, the shoulder pad that has like the Greim symbol on it or whatever to show that, like almost like the Death Watch, like I served in the militia.
I served in the Greim militia.
But
what'd you do? Dug trenches?
I dug a lot of trenches, and let me tell you, trench digging Timmy is what they called me while I was there. And
your name's not even Timmy.
I know, but apparently it's a name for people who are really good at digging trenches. But the military attaché is without it's obviously the Forge World miniatures. I think they are quite possibly two of the best Necromunda miniatures available, like the actual House Greim Kriegmeister with like the eagle shoulder pad and that, and then the almost lion. Would you say that leg looks like a lion's leg, the artificial one?
The foot, the foot of it, definitely, absolutely, it does.
But he looks proper. Like I've definitely never seen battle, but these medal, this is bronze swimming certificate, this is silver swimming certificate.
This is, I spotted a caryatid. You get a badge for that one.
This one here, I got for dangerous service. So what happened is I used my salad fork while eating seafood, and no one noticed. So I got a medal for that one here. I already have them for actual combat. Actual what now?
An actual wombat. We don't have wombats.
I can't remember the last time I ate wombat. But how did you lose the leg? That was my brother. Oh, what happened? Didn't like my shoes.
Yeah. Or shoe.
Didn't like my shoe.
Yeah, particularly that shoe. I can almost imagine it as just a boot that he wears. Just he just tucks it in every morning. Yeah. Well, it's a bit tight in terms of space, but it certainly pulls off the persona I'm looking for.
Okay, I like yours better actually.
But the attaché, mate,
we've talked about her a lot.
I know
in previous episodes.
I know, but I'm gonna rehash it. I don't care. It has the spider shoulder guard. It has the old school helmet. That's the way you paint your Necromundan 8th, with the white pants, the black armor, and like the guarding. What do they call it? I don't know what it is, but it's sort of the flashing over the boots and the pants has to be that tan color as well. Yeah. So and this is where you paint the noble side of them, not the actual fighters. This would be for the scrappers. This would be for the nobles. That's the way you would paint them. Just like a little bit overdone.
But like you look at her, she's clearly seen Like, 'cause it says, they hire them back from the veterans of the militia or the Astra Militarum that return. She's got the 8th badge there, so that shows she's the real deal.
Yeah, see, that's just something else as well. As much as House Grime would like to think of themselves as, we are the preeminent military force, blah, blah, blah. If you go serve with the 8th, it's a completely different kettle of fish then.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Which is what I said
like,
before.
Yeah. Like your Death Watch sort of
yes.
idea. Yeah, yeah. So they go, yep, I am part of the 8th. I'm wearing this with pride. I'm wearing this with honour. I still represent House Grime, but I am eternally bonded to the Necromunda 8th. And that's something you will not and cannot take away from them, because it is something that is such a high honour for them to hold, to have fought and survived with the 8th.
Yeah, yeah. And that's it. That's why I think, like, when you look at her, she has that symbol. If someone else who actually served with the 8th saw that, they would know, they would know what to say. They would know how to say it. And if you gave them the wrong answer, it's like that whole stolen valor concept. They would be, what squad you serve with? What regiment? Because obviously the 8th is a regiment, but there's been multiple iterations of it.
Yeah,
What regiment? Who was your commander? Where did you fight?
And,
I fought at Armageddon. No, you didn't. And it's not a take the badge off. It's I'm shooting you twice in the face.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I
because
know
you're
one of the
them.
Yes, I know one of the enforcers. His brother served in the 8th. So when he comes and I say this is what happened, he gives me a nod and says, "Get out of here." Like, it's a
You
proper
should have shot
thing.
him sooner. Yeah.
Yes, but the shotgun, the pose, the mechanical left arm matching up with the scars on the left hand side of her face, like she's got those big ostentatious boots, but she's got that, I don't want to say a dagger, I want to say like a small gladius down the side of her boot. Like, everything about this woman is actual kill. Like,
Yep. I'm totally with you. It is like a proper veteran. And this
Yes.
is where, the attaches can sometimes be foppish morons who don't know what they're talking about, or they can be genuinely good military assets to have on your gang side.
Yeah, and I think maybe the Kriegmeister will be the first one, but I'm looking at the Jägerkin and I look at her immediately and just go, yeah, this is a woman that if she chose to throw her lot in with an Escher gang or an Orlok gang, they would not be disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you in regard to that. And it's something that they would just be like, yep, please jump on board because we want your advice. We want your knowledge. But I just took the time there to have a look at the deserter.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
So when you look at the equipment and gear of the deserter, it's clearly one of the masses and the troops. You know what I mean? It's just one of the fodder. And that's what helps the attache stand apart so well. You look at that and you go, yes, this is not just a scrapper on the lines. This is somebody who was valued as part of the battle formation.
I look at the deserter. I see we've talked about this in our
We
Patreon.
have, yeah.
When you compare the deserter to the Jägerkin there, I see the Jägerkin maybe not necessarily as an officer, but as a veteran. Remember the old veteran squads where, they could basically do what they wanted? I see her as a veteran. I see her as maybe a minor officer. I see the deserter as a comm specialist or a pure last man. That's it. I do not see him as anything special.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a rifleman who's just happened to desert. But anyway, we're not talking about them. We're talking about the House Grime attache. So, following on from what you're saying there, the attache just allows you to bring the wider Imperium to your gang.
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
So good. Now, on our sort of last point here on House Greim, we're going to talk about the current head being Ludwig Greim. Ludwig Greim is the current and 51st Lord of the noble House Greim. And like the rest of his house, Ludwig is afflicted with military delusions of grandeur. The Lord rules over his kin with military precision, and Ludwig's titles include being the Krieger Lord of the Palatine Cluster and Marshal of Helmawr's Ash Militias. So I'm looking at this basically thinking it was Ludwig or maybe one of his children, possibly his successor, who made that deal with Ranlo to hide the militias, to get them to the Forbidden Cities and basically say, listen, you stay here until either me or someone who can prove they are the new head of House Greim. You don't listen to anyone but us. You wait until the time is right. And the Ranlo soldiers would have been told the same from their side.
Yeah, yep, 100%. Or just fold it into those militias and just be
Yes,
like,
yes.
you're now a company, a battalion, whatever, that is attached to this, and you will take all directives from House Greim.
Perfect.
But I love the titles that Ludwig has. They're just like nonsense, like boffin-headed titles.
Yeah.
Like Krieger Lord and Marshal of the Ash Militias and all this other stuff. It's just like, it all means absolutely nothing. You do a garrison job on the Dust Wall, which you have failed now, and knowing what we know from the Aranthal
now
succession.
you have, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you basically funnel off troops to Astra Militarum regiments. That is it.
That is exactly how I'm picturing it. So these the sons and daughters of House Greim would be doing a tour of the Dust Wall, and then they would do, they would get onto a Chimera or a troop truck, and they'd do a little zip around some of the freeways and sort of like, the roads between the major hive sort of clusters, and go, I've done my time in the militia. Trust me. I know what it's like to be on the front lines, just like the rest of you. And the soldiers are looking at them like, shut up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, I feel like we've really talked a lot about House Greim in a negative and
We've
somewhat
talked a
positive
lot
way.
of crap about them.
We have, but I'm not fearful of them because they don't really have a military to come and get me with.
Yeah.
So we will be fine. But I guess we should go into the other noble house we wanted to speak about, and that was House Catapults.
House Catapults, yes. Led by the mighty Lord Trebuchet.
Trebuchet, an amazing member of the hierarchy of Necromunda.
Long arms.
Very long arms. But always has to be counterbalanced for some reason. I don't understand that.
See John, young Trevor, see John. No, what is that? What is the next house we're talking about?
It is House Catallus. Among the noble houses, Catallus is known as the House of Masks, brokers of diplomacy and deals. They are the matchmakers and social overseers of Necromunda, facilitating the connection between the great houses and off-world organisations through their agents. Some houses look down upon them, considering them little more than middlemen in the great workings of the nobility. But without their expertise at bringing people together and mediating deals, little would get done. They are also one of the most mysterious of the great houses, and its nobles never venture forth from their chambers without their traditional carnival masks firmly in place. This is all part of the mystery that House Catallus cultivates in its dealings with the rest of Necromunda. And while there is a complex and subtle pattern to the shape, design, and impressions of their masks, the meaning of which remains largely known only to the great house itself. Members of House Catallus are often considered a single entity by outsiders. The masks and the anonymity they bring are all part of the power of the noble house, who believe in the invisible truth, a philosophy that teaches that the only way to endure the unendurable brutality of their world is to not exist at all. After all, how can a lord, lady, or family be extinguished from history if they never lived in it in the first place? So they are spectres, ghosts, hidden agents. They are the House of Shadow?
No.
The House of Dark Places.
House of Dark Places.
The house of places that are unseen by the sun. We'll call them that.
Yep. When you're talking about this, I've got a I'm going to possibly reveal something to the audience here that a lot of them don't know about me. How familiar are you with the music of the Insane Clown Posse?
It's classical dramatic. Is that
very
genre?
close? Yes, I think you might be a connoisseur of the genre.
Yeah.
Fans of the Insane Clown Posse are known as juggalos, and when they go to festivals and events by the Insane Clown Posse and sort of the associated acts, they'll often paint their faces in sort of dramatic clown makeup. And now I can only picture House Catallus as a house of juggalos. So in my mind, House Catallus is now sort of when they've left Ancient Terror and they've gone to what was Necromunda called before? Arrhenius Prime.
Arrhenius Prime.
And they've wound up in Arrhenius. Their ancestors, I'm assuming, had the discography of the Insane Clown Posse. And as such, it sort of molded them into this house of this with the masks and the sort of the showboating and the almost Harlequin-esque way of living.
Yeah.
So in my mind, House Catallus is now House Juggalo.
Perfect. That's it. Okay, moving on to our next noble house. Bansky. No, so I think you've taken away from them by referring to them as juggalos, but they will be referred to as juggalos in future statements.
Yes.
But they are a house that offers something so uniquely different. Like, I mean, all the houses will show, like, you know, what their speciality is, what their superpower is, or whatever the case.
People will think that I'm making fun of it, but firstly, I'm a huge fan of the Insane Clown Posse. Genuinely, I genuinely am. But
really, that's insane.
Yeah, Clown Posse. MCL to my homies. Whoop whoop. But I'm looking at House Catallus. Literally, what they're doing is terrifying, because they've already said that as long that they're unwilling to leave their homes, their sort of private quarters, without having the masks covering their faces. And yes, it absolutely gives them anonymity, but at the same time, everyone believes House Catallus is a single entity. It almost, in my mind, it dehumanizes them. And so when they step out, they can commit acts of absolute atrocities. Like, they can be brutal, they can murder and pillage and cause pain and do whatever they want. Because when they get back to their quarters, when they get back to Catallus territory, they take those masks off, and it wasn't me who did it. It was someone in the mask.
There's a famous quote of, you know, give a man a mask to see his true self.
Yeah.
You know, and that's clearly what House Catallus play at as well. But what do you see them as? This is a very broad ranging question, but what do you see them as without the mask?
Psychopaths. We will get into it a lot more in regards to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, as we go through the sort of rest of the reads for them there. But they're kind of like murderous party planners in my mind, where they see the whole existence of nobility, and from my understanding of them, they see life as something simply to experience, and by they're matchmakers, they are, they're deal brokers, they're party planners, they're social overseers. It talks about them and describing them that way. I look at them in the way that they are treating life like one big party when they're uphive. The moment they go downhive, their whole mindset is just like, well, let's do some crazy shit.
Right. So let's do some murders. Let's do some killings.
Very Slaneshi. Very Slaneshi. I'm thinking about it now. I'm thinking them very Slaneshi.
So in a world of excess, but they cover it all up with a mask because they go, we can't be seen to be this. We can be they're like it's actually, the way I look at them without the mask is that they try to exist in the middle ground. Do you know what I mean? They try to be this balancing element, not to create balance, but something that helps one realm mesh with another realm.
Yeah, yeah.
But the reality of the situation is that they actually are desperately trying to maintain that visage or that idea about themselves, because the true nature of who they are is all about excess. It's about hedonism. It's about
yes,
understanding that they are the preeminent. They are the noble house to be most concerned with. Whereas House Greim would, you sort of know what you're getting with them. It's open, it's in front of you, and all the members of House Greim, no matter how minor, want to be known as members of House Greim.
Yes, they're strong military types. They are, they're warriors, they're veterans. They are cosplay soldiers. I look at Catallus.
All want to do that.
Yeah, but I look at Catallus going, they want to be the life of the party. They want to be, the center of the social scene. And but
they don't want anybody to know it's them.
No. Within their own peoples, I believe that's what they want to be. But when they go to parties and they all, you're at a noble social gathering, kind of like you and me attend all the time. Lots of fine music, fine wines and fantastic conversation, and all of a sudden, 35 sons and daughters of House Catallus walk in, and they're all wearing these masks. And they're just talking to you, and you don't recognize the voice, and you can't place the face, obviously. That is terrifying, and they love that.
Yeah, 100%. They would be playing on that and exploiting that to their end.
Yep.
But they need to be seen for what they are, which is just nobles who have worked out a way to keep themselves separate from their humanity. So it plays into exactly what you're saying about they've allowed themselves to tap into their excess.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not be hunted down, not be persecuted for it, because they are all one entity. We are Catallus.
But they're also not pushing it as far as your average Slaneshi cult. They're doing it. They're being excessive for the sake of being excessive, but they're doing it within reason, because at the end of the day, they know that they can get away with a lot in their own spires, in their own domes. You head out somewhere public, it doesn't matter if you're wearing a mask. If someone has, the symbol of House Helmawr on their breastplate and they shoot you in the face, your mask ain't stopping it, and neither is the Imperial House.
Yeah, 100%. They're just going, well, you need to eat that because that was Helmawr sanctioned murder.
Yeah.
So just wear that one.
Well, jump into the next read there, and it gives us a little bit more sort of a view in sort of where House Catallus really seems to work. Over its long history, House Catallus has taken many forms, and as the political winds of Necromunda have changed, so too have the masters of the noble house changed with them in their pursuit of the invisible truth. There is an old saying within the spire: Catallus turns from friend to foe like the hands of the great clock, and just as regularly. At one time or another, the noble house has been close allies or hated enemies of almost every house and clan on the Hive world, including the Imperial House. And history records their hand in many of the great wars and disasters to have befallen Necromunda. The only constant in this long history of broken alliances has been the noble house's connection to the mighty House of Van Saar. For a reason perhaps known only to the great and noble Duke Otto the 22nd and the Faceless Lord, the honorary title given to the head of House Catallus, there is an unbreakable bond between the mighty House of Artifice and the House of Masks. Some have speculated that it is the glorious Van Saar who engineer the sophisticated carnival masks worn by the nobles of Catallus. Others claim that House Catallus knows some dark and obviously incorrect secret about Van Saar, such as where all their wondrous technology is manufactured. Whatever the reason, the two are often seen working together. Well, obviously that there...
Excuse me. I would like to just input a community announcement here, if that's okay with you.
It's not. So obviously the...
No, don't you do... Okay, for anybody who wants to understand what Sam was reading, the Book of Artifice, Van Saar book, go read that. Nowhere does it mention Mighty House of Van Saar. Nowhere does it mention Great House Van Saar. And nowhere does it mention that they're obviously inaccurate dark secrets. These are all accurate dark secrets, and it never mentions them as mighty. You are welcome, public. End of public announcement.
That was embarrassing for you. But I love this because, once again, this goes back to that almost hedonistic lifestyle that we've said the Catalysts seem to have, where they're like, hey, right now you and me, we are allies, we are good, everything is fine. But then something happens and they flip-flop and they're stabbing you in the back. And now they're allies with your enemies. And it literally says they are, at one time or another, they've been close allies or hated enemies of almost every house and clan on the Hive world. So not just the other 6 noble houses, but the major clan houses and then the other clan houses, past and present, at some point have either been best friends or like murder in the street enemies of Catallus. And so I can imagine these Catallus bastards laughing the whole time, being like, I understand we've just made a lot of money with them. You know what we should do? What's that? Stab them in the neck. I love it.
Whoopity-doo, what a great idea. I'll get my stabbing hands out. So that's exactly how I see them flipping their alliances.
Yep.
They're just almost like a little bit bored. They're just
yes.
How do we, we've created like the energy and the activity and the pursuit of a goal to create an alliance becomes this overwhelming and, house-driven goal that once the goal is achieved, they almost become probably a little bit bored with that. They're like, oh, well, we've done that. Let's what else can we do here? Well, let's break it. Let's see if we can remake it. Let's see how hard we can break it.
I never took into account the idea of boredom. A lot of these brats, these sort of catalysts and that, they are going to be the sons and daughters of the actual noble family, and they're idiot teenagers. They're going to be getting out there doing dumb crap. Oh, I love it.
So, it's like, the classic case of Susie being Lucy's BFFFFF, and then, it takes only one little thing for Susie to go, I don't like her anymore. That's the way Catallus are.
Yes.
They're just teenage girls.
Yes.
And it takes one little thing to break the twig, and then suddenly they're 2 weeks later they're BFFs
Yes.
again, and whatever the case might be, and then they, a particular Orlok gives one of them the eye, and they're like, oh, that's mine. No, that's mine. The line's broken again. So they what I'm enjoying about them is the fact that they're like, if you go down this pathway, the fact that they are cocoa bananas. You can do whatever you want from an ethical and moral point of view with House Catallus, because it fits into their makeup, into their mindset. They could be the most generous, the most caring, the most capable of house, but the very next day they could be the most brutal and vicious of killers.
Yeah.
And that notion of who they are is scary, because you don't have any idea of what they're actually going to do. Now, on top of that, we still need to go back to the fact that they are the deal brokers of Necromunda as well. And
Party planning, baby. It's all party planning.
but the key thing that I picked up from that first read was they deal broker outside of Necromunda as well.
Yes.
So this is something that the noble houses provide that the clan houses can't really allow you to do, and that is engagement with off-world entities, off-world elements, whether they be Imperium, whether they be Xenos, and it allows you then to just dabble and play a little bit more and imagine what it would be to have, a Harlequin as part of House Catallus, who's worked his or her way into the house just simply to see how it ticks. And I could imagine a Harlequin doing that. And then once it's found out how it ticks, it goes, uh-oh, we've got a little Slaneshi enclave here. It doesn't realise it's a Slaneshi enclave, but it is right on the brink of it. It wants to dip its toes in right now. And so I think this house allows, where House Greim really focuses you down a military pathway, House Catallus is paint your canvas in as many colours as you want. Go for your life, or go for their life, or go for any life that you want, because you have the freedom to do it. Or the only requirement is you wear the mask.
Well, that's a great way for Catallus to sort of pass beyond Necromunda in, once again, anonymity. They throw the masks on and they leave, and they simply, obviously already on Necromunda, they're one amongst trillions, but I'd love to see this. I almost picture them as pirates. I would love to see like these House Catallus pirates, or freebooters, or what do you want to call them? What did Crown nations turn pirates into? To sort of privateers. I can imagine them, some Catallus crew getting together a ship and taking their servants and running around doing all that nonsense, and they're still wearing the masks. But what you say there about the clan houses sort of effectively really needing them, it's because the great houses, like the nobles, they are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're legitimate. They have off-world interests. Right. I picture the noble houses almost like, one of them will be Microsoft, and one will be Disney, and one will be Amazon. Like, they are these interplanetary, inter-system businesses where they have House legitimate Disney interests off-world.
Yep.
The clans do not. The clan houses, they have manufacturing capabilities, absolutely. Even the mighty, supreme, and glorious House Van Sar, like, they're producing all this material for the Imperial Guard and private militias and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. They can only sell it to the noble houses or the Imperial House. But if Van Sar make a deal with Catallus that, hey, we've got 5,000 pallets of last sub-carbines, find us a deal. Absolutely. We'll buy those off you for 15 creds each and sell them
Yeah.
off-world for 150.
Yeah.
The Vansar don't necessarily need the industry, but they still need the industry. And Catalyst above all.
Totally agrees with you. Catalyst is what provides them that brokerage to go.
Yes.
We can do that next bit. But when you talk about the god awful and lesser House Vansar, I just want to know: do you think that perhaps Catalyst and Vansar came to Arrhenius at the same time?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No?
I believe.
No, not at the same time, not the same ship. But I'm saying within.
Oh, do I
close
believe
proximity.
they rose together at the same time?
Yeah.
No. I want to say.
No?
I actually want to say Catalyst. This is going into sort of some old stuff. Catalysts were from.
Do you think they were from Earth, from Terra?
Well, I think No, I don't. I think they most likely... They've obviously descended from a group that's come from Earth.
Yes, obviously.
Obviously, where else would they have gotten the Insane Clown Posse discography? But I believe that most likely they evolved into what they are on Necromunda. I don't believe... Yeah, I think they would have risen in a manner very similar to the Helmawrs. They had power within a certain hive, or cluster, or most likely on Hive Primus, and managed to maintain their position there.
Righto. Okay, cool. Look, what I'll do is I've got another question for you regarding that, but I'll go into our next read because that'll give us a little bit more depth and detail about who they are, and then we can gasbag about them even more. The House Catallus Civil War. Once a large and proud, prosperous house, preeminent among the elite noble houses of Necromunda, second only to House Helmawr itself. It had large stakes in most hives on the planet. Then, over 2,000 years ago, civil war broke out in what is still remembered as the most vicious conflict in the archived history of the noble houses. What triggered the war, even why the factions disagreed, is not known. But for over 100 years, House Catallus was torn apart by assassinations and embroiled in open warfare between house factions and bloodlines in internal power struggles for the house's wealth. The ancestors of what is now House Catallus emerged as the victorious faction, exiling their defeated relatives into the ash waste in what was supposed to be a death sentence. Some outcasts survived in the wasteland, becoming the nomad gangs that wander the toxic wastes, and still living with the shame that their ancestors cast them out from the safety of the hive. Community announcement here. I believe this was retconned.
Yeah, this is definitely N95 lore.
Right. Yeah.
So there is a current. There's a bunch of current references to the House Catallus Civil War. We know that, but the Civil War no longer led to the ones that lost and got kicked out becoming the nomads. It's how many times did we read throughout the histories of all these books that, out to the waste, never to be seen again. They became nomad bands or they became nomad outlaws, etc. That's now different to sort of being nomads. The nomads are obviously the ash waste nomads. You could still keep this as technically canon by saying they became nomad bands or nomad groups and not necessarily ash waste nomads. But yeah, in the old N95 lore, House Catallus is actually where the nomads came from.
Yeah, righto. But obviously, look, they're nomads without a capital N. If you get
Yes,
what I mean.
exactly.
Yeah. So they are a nomad gang. They are a nomad group, which makes total sense. Like, you can still apply that lore and that history to them. But the Civil War, I think, is an important factor in the development of their character and
Yeah.
who they are and what they become. And they're very clandestine as well.
Absolutely.
From the readings that we have here, plus also the research we did for the episode, they still strike me as members of the House of Shadow, really, and not the House of Shadow as in like the Deliquetian House of Shadow, but more so the House of Shadow before House Delark rose to power. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're still relying on them to do the naughty no good stuff, the underhanded. And it even says in that first read that they weave complex and subtle patterns, and they try to manipulate things to make them play. And so you can imagine this would be a derivative from their time during their civil war.
Yeah.
Understanding that trust is not an option for this house. So we don't have those strong alliances because, well, we do have the strong alliances, but be prepared to just break them at any stage. It's like hold on to attach yourself to another house or another clan, whatever the case might be, but be prepared to drop everything at a moment's notice if that's what's required for the house, or if we're just a bit bored.
Yes, absolutely. There's a great example of this civil war sort of, taking sides in that. There's two specific characters in game from House Catallus, and they're Arbalester Rain Catallus and Aramister Day Catallus, a brother and sister duo who literally he sided against his parents, alright? They are twin siblings. He turned against the parents during a schism within the house. They sent her to go and kill him, and she basically goes, or, and they basically run around the Underhive now as bounty hunters, killing everyone. But they have these masks. So they're Catalyst masks. She wears a mask with the face of their mother, and he wears a mask with the face of their father.
Right. Wow.
So
that is genuinely
yeah,
terrifying.
but then when the civil war within House Catalyst stopped, they were like, yep, cool, come back, alright, sweet, whatever. They get there, and this goes back to what you said before. They got so bored that they started just making chaos, and their family is basically like, nah, they've got to go. And they've effectively, I'm reading between the lines here, they've killed their way out of House Catalyst spires and have gone back to the Underhive. And basically just being like naked chaos goblins. They're just doing whatever they want. There is no rules. They're just doing it and dealing with it later. I love this. But that to me is prime Catalyst. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is just like, as you say, just chaos. They breed chaos. They breed the trust. They breed the hope, and then they just destroy.
Yeah.
And you don't. It's almost like you don't know what you're going to get. You roll the dice. You roll a 1, 2, or 3. You get Catalyst that is got you back and killing everybody in your path. You roll a 4, 5, or a 6, and they send you forward while they shoot you in the back.
Yes.
Or they butcher you in front of your own gang.
Yeah. But from behind somehow. They cuddle you, stab you in the back, and then they've spun you around and like kick you towards your own men, and then they shoot you in the face. But no, and obviously this here goes back to, we've talked about the House Catalyst Civil War, which is purely from N95. It's old school lore. It has been retconned somewhat, but still House Catalyst seems to have enough internal conflict that in my mind this civil war hasn't happened just once. It's happened a bunch of times where, because House Catallus take excess to
right.
the excess, I can imagine the family being split down the middle a bunch of times.
And do you think they've hidden it? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they've hidden it away in the shadows, and House Grime have started to maybe have gone to knock on the door, and they can just hear a ruckus from behind that. They're just like, maybe we'll come back with a different day to work out exactly what our new ranks are going to be.
And then they've turned around and three of the Grime militia have shot each other
because
because they've gone to throw their guns over their shoulders and they've all had their finger on the trigger.
Yeah, exactly. And they all are currently wearing like clown masks.
Yeah, there's like,
Like,
we'll join in. It's like a big honky red
they were
noses.
cattle. Do you know, that's actually quite funny. Imagine that, like, rather than having like these wicked sort of, horror movies type clown faces, they've actually got like traditional circus makeup.
Oh, I would
And this
find
is for
that
Catallus.
creepier.
Yeah,
It's like
big, as you say, big round noses,
big
or the,
shoes, the polka dot clothing, because you see someone dressed in like a murder clown outfit and the bit with the big rictus grin and broken teeth and that sort of stuff. You're just gonna be like, yeah, baby, that's the Underhive. It is what it is. You see someone walking around in traditional circus clown makeup with the big red nose and that, I'm just like, we're all gonna die. Every person here, like, sorry man, you're screwed. Like the corpse grinder cultists walk in, they're just like, nah.
people are going to die of laughter here.
Yeah.
We better leave.
This is too
it's a
weird
clown.
even for us. Like basically it, but without the demonic powers.
Yeah, totally. That's why I see it. Actually, when you talk about them like that, I see them having a chimera or a Taurox or something, and there's like managed to fit like 50 Catallus inside it.
They rock up to the party and 50 House Catallus in all matching traditional clown costumes get out. It's just like, you win the war. Nah, you win.
House Grime is just like, do you know what? Our books, our tactical manuals don't explain how to take this on. You've got this.
There is nothing here in the Tactica Grime that says anything about man on clown combat. All right, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to shoot you because killing a clown is the saddest thing in the world to do. But I feel like if I don't shoot you, I'm gonna. Oh, you've already stabbed me.
You've already stabbed.
I should have shot you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It'd be like
Well done.
remember in Family Guy where he's done the Vietnam flashback and it's all the like they're dressed as the American soldiers and he's dressed as a clown.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
no, joke's on you. Everyone's looking for the army guys. Yeah. You see a clown in the Underhive? Nah, I'm out. I'm done.
No, I know we've only had the law recently updated regarding the spire suits and how they're all Helmawrs in some way, shape, or form. But
I
House
choose to
Catallus-
ignore that.
Yeah, well, same too. But imagine House Catallus spires. So yeah, you have these spire suits, but instead of being like, really menacing and god awful, they actually have like little water shooting Necromunda native flower on it. Yeah. And like, potentially like a juggling cherub with them as well. So it's just
He's juggling like frag grenades.
exactly. Or it has like, the giant fist of the Aura Spire, right? It doesn't use it to punch. It just has a god awful zap button on the inside of the hand. Oh. And so like it like goes to high five you. You think I'm going to survive this, and just like shocks you into the next world.
You know how they throw the bucket of water at you and there's not really water in it? They do it like 3 or 4 times and you're there, you're reloading your pistol and you go to lift it up and they do it again and it's like acid.
Yeah.
Or they've got the squeezy thing, they spray it and it's just liquid magma somehow. Or it's a melter flower.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Melter
there we
flower.
go. Melter flower.
Okay, Super Mario has been trying to tell us this whole time the ultimate weapon is the flower.
Yeah, fireball flower. That's what they have. So, like, I'm just trying to think of some other clown-based humour as well. So, like, imagine like a pistol that like fires bang, much like your bucket idea. So it's like fires bang, bang, and the gangers are just like, now there's nothing going on here, and then just opens up, and it's actually a heavy stubber or something along those lines. Just rips into them.
It shoots out, the little flag comes down saying bang, everyone laughs, and he pulls a second trigger, and then it shoots out of the flagpole. It's actually just turned from a bad gun into like a rifle.
Yeah, he's just extended his range. Oh, what's the other ones? I'm trying to think of other clowns.
The handkerchiefs. When they pull out all that different hanky, he's just pulling them out. Everyone's like, okay, red, blue, green, yellow, violet, indigo. Like, yeah, this is cool. And he pulls out another one, and it's razor wire, and just like it just
garrots people,
it just garrots you.
And then makes the other gangers pick up the handkerchiefs for him, which he stuffs back in, and then repeats the joke. What about the invisible dog? You know how they got the invisible dog on a lead? But it's actually like, some chameleon dosed some croc or something.
Yeah, it's a some croc with like a hollow field on it. There's nothing on the end of that leech. Oh my god, it's taken off Grub's leg.
Exactly.
Or the pie that when he throws it, it's got a melter mine in it.
But they haven't even tried to disguise it that well. It's just a melter mine.
It's a mine with cream on it.
Yeah, just cream on it, and it's in a pie tray. But you've done nothing more with this. It's like, or a whoopee cushion that's actually a melter mine. So you hear this like, and then,
yeah, it's a 3-second delay. So you hear the drawn out fart. Everyone looks at you because then they witness you exploding. Oh my!
So you die of embarrassment first. Yeah. That's how they get to you. It's like,
I love this.
Oh wow! Yes. I really like this actually.
Just quickly here,
gang idea, but
so many gang ideas. But I actually want to talk about a gang very similar to this that one of our listeners has actually done. I've just remembered.
Oh really? Yeah. Okay.
On Instagram, it's danish.coffee, and he actually did a corpse grinder cult gang that were all clowns. Not only were they clowns, they were rattling clowns.
What? I have not seen this.
Oh, dude, hold on. I'm going to send you this link. You need to. Like, I chatted to him so much, and I love these. They serve under the Great Ringmaster of Skin and Sinew, and they're the clown grinder cults. But every single one of them has unique clown makeup. And because they're made out of the Blood Bowl halflings, they've all got like the stomachs hanging out, but all the costumes are done in like traditional circus clown fashion.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now. What in great Google is that?
It's just so good. Like I just think it's so good.
That is terrifying. If you saw those little stunty things running at you in the Underhive, you're like, whatever it is, I don't want it. You keep it.
The one with like the Viking helmet, sticking his hand in his pocket, it looks like he's singing opera.
Yes,
absolutely. Now just make them taller. Make them like psychopathic teenage nobles. Yeah. And this is how I'm picturing your Catallus clown spires.
Yes. Yeah. Like taller, but almost like I would see them as vindictive, but also at the same time just having a laugh. Like they're trying to just get rid of their boredom in a way.
Yes. Oh, that's exactly it.
Yeah. So maybe one day one of them got splashed with like multiple different colours and found themselves more terrifying to the regular scummers of the Underhive, and was like, well, hang on a second, this works. And then continues to go about that, and then like gets joined by a handful of its brothers, cousins, whatever the case might be, and they become the clown spires of Catallus.
Oh, I'm genuine.
That's a gang idea right there.
Except one of them would just be a genuine mime. It's a Catallus that isn't interested in killing. He just wants to perfect the mime art, the miming arts. And
Yeah,
he's like, guys, he's trapped in a box. And he's doing this sort of stuff. And this Orlok gang they're hunting, they're watching him. They're just like, what is it? Well, no, it'd be a Goliath gang. They're like, get him out of the box. How's he walking downstairs? There's no stairs there. It's like, wait, I think he's about to take the elevator. Oh, and all this Goliath gangs, they're all watching this mime, and they're like, what? I just can't look away. And then the other spires sneak up behind them and kill them all.
Yeah. While House Cawdor is also watching on going, burn the heretic.
There's no invisible... Hold on, wait. He's jumping over invisible barriers and the Cawdor are somehow running and tripping over the invisible barriers?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, okay. So where did we start this? We definitely took this on an Underhive Lorekeepers tangent, this one.
Yes.
Right, so we got House Spire Catallus.
Yes. Clown Spire cultists.
Clown Spire. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think there's a little bit of a read about them as well, isn't there?
Well, no, they actually they have an actual group that can join your gangs, and they're aptly titled the House Catallus Carnival. Now,
Right.
A House Catallus Carnival is a strange collection of individuals, even by the standards of Necromunda. Like dancers gathering for a performance, a carnival arrives for its audience, usually someone who has drawn the ire of the Great House, before launching into a display of horrific violence and bloodshed. Just pausing the read, that is exactly what we just described. You know, can you imagine being garroted by a bunch of handkerchiefs and razor wire? But just, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A carnival can include any number of individuals, sometimes dozens of masked murderers gathering to do the work of House Catallus. Other times only a handful or even one masked individual appearing from the crowd. In all cases, however, a carnival is led by a masked killer, a nobleman or woman of House Catallus with a skill for killing, and armed extravagantly by the Great House with the finest blades, guns, or energy weapons, often supplied by the proud and mighty House Van Saar.
Stop it.
Often helping the masked killer in their work is a mind frayed. If the masked killer is a vision of serene indifference amid the violence of combat, then the mind frayed is a howling horror, their mask shaped in an expression of utter terror that in turn infects those around them. The purpose of the mind frayed is much like that of a hound for a hunter, and the masked killer will send the mind frayed rushing forward into the unknown to flush out their enemies. This invariably means the mind frayed is the first to suffer at the hands of the carnival's opponents. But this too is part of the masked killer's plan. Should a foe be foolish enough to cut down the mind frayed, they will find a nasty surprise waiting for them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the supremely horrific Catallus mime.
Yes. It is too. It's the mime.
He's trapped in a box. A box of murder.
Yeah.
This is literally what we've just talked about. A bunch of murder clowns coming out of their Taurox, and they're rolling 17, 18, 19 deep.
Absolutely. And you're just like, hang on, okay, there's two of them. We'll easily fight two of them. There's four of them. We've got a good chance to... There's 8 of them. Now I don't even care about the fight. I'm more concerned about how they got... There's 12 of them. How do they get 12 in that vehicle?
What is happening?
Yeah, exactly.
There you are. You know, you're some mighty gang. You've basically talked a little bit of shit about House Catallus, and one day in the distance, you're just hearing this. Catallus is gonna come and murder your family. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's actually more terrifying than the Nokia bomb.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because and they would just play it, like they would torment you, like they would play it and not turn up, and then they would play it, you get up for your morning shift and you can hear it, and you're like, whoa, oh, they're coming for me, and then they just never turn up, and then one day one of them's just on the production line next to you in a clown mask. What is happening? What is happening? Do you know? I'm really liking our version of Catalyst. To be honest, they're like terror troops, but in a sort of jovial way.
Yes. You know what they remind me of? Old school Nurgle, but without the disease. Actually,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm disgusted in both of us. You know what they remind me of? Eldar Harlequins. How when they're doing the murder and they're just like and where they disembowel you from behind with like your own knife, and you're trying to attack them and they're just like whoa little bit of backflippy,
I do a flippy flop and you're dead.
You're dead.
And you're dead again. And you're dead again. It's like, please kill
me. And
I'm
just going to quickly sew you up. And you're okay. Just kidding. There's a melter bomb in there.
Right. So they are definitely a house that you could have a lot of fun with. But I do want to talk about one thing in regard to the carnival. Well, it's not really the carnival, but it is when you add a member of House Catallus to your gang, and it's the invisible truth. That rule.
Yes.
When I read this frazzled my mind. I'm like, you absolute monsters. So, and a rare occurrence for us, I will read the rule. Once a gang has made an alliance with House Catallus, make a note on the gang's roster and do not delete this note, even if the alliance is later broken. From this point onwards, should the gang ever attempt to form an alliance with any organisation, roll a d6. On a roll of 1, the gang immediately forms a new alliance with House Catallus instead of the alliance they were about to form. I know it's a G-rated, but you bastards.
You absolute. There's just like, surprise, we're best friends again. Wait,
it's just what? You shake hands, you sign the documentation, and suddenly just like this clown image just appears on the page. You're like, oh, this is the 4th time this week. This is the 4th, like, all I want to do is sign an alliance with somebody else. Absolutely, Timmy. Go ahead. Go make an alliance somewhere else. Actually, you've offended us. We're going to break our alliance with you. The 7th time that week, Timmy signs an alliance. Like, I've had enough. I don't want any alliances. Perfect. We got him, folks.
But yeah, it's that perfect little, we're allies, we're enemies, we're allies, we're enemies. You're signing this deal with someone else. Just kidding, buddy. We were them the whole time. This
is the House of Shadow nonsense.
We literally, remember that time we killed your family? How funny was that joke? Let's be best friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be best friends.
Oh, you don't want to be best friends? Fine. Okay, don't be best friends. We're mortal enemies. Until 3 weeks later, hey, look, I need to just open up a tab in this bar. Oh, yes. And so you would consider this bar an organisation that you're signing some sort of agreement with?
Yeah, sure, I guess.
Well, I guess. Yeah, sure. Catalyst! You've been catalyst.
Catalyzed.
Catalyzed, yeah.
But also,
I could just see them as their catchphrase. You've been catalyzed. Stop it.
Please, stop.
Please leave me alone. I will do whatever you want.
But much like House Greim, where they would randomly just grab one of your gangers and send them, for a tour of the Dust Wall, there is a drawback with House Catallus, and I love this.
This is terrible.
Basically, just randomly, you roll a d6, and if you roll a 1, for any Juve you have in your gang, alright? Any Juve that you roll a 1 with, House Catallus just take and turn them into a mind frayed. So basically, a juiced up murder clown that will just explode in screams of terror. Basically like the Night Lords in tiny clown form. They're stealing your kids and turning them into tiny Night Lord clowns. Like, you thought the truth was bad? Yeah, being with their friends is terrible.
No, but that's sort of I would see them as them that going. We've given you an advantage here. You get to be part of the house. We've elevated you. We've taken you to the next level. But I do agree with you. It is a horrible way to be. It's not even. And the thing about it is that. So with the House Grime, it is you get the credits if they die.
You're at least getting
House
credits.
Grime here goes. Here's his wages. His or her wages. There you go. We're sorry for your loss. Thank you for your service. See you later. With Catallus, it's like we took them.
We took them and they
equipment.
died.
Yeah, and we took all their stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need it. We're a noble house. But we took it because, you know what? You're locked in a contract with us. And every time you try to break it, we make you re-sign it. Even though you think you're re-signing with somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so you just lose everything from them.
You lose every
the
time.
You lose all their gear. It's just, they are chaos. And not chaos in the Great Four Gods kind of chaos. They're chaos in the sense of, like, you can just imagine this one brow-beaten, just nearly on the edge of broken Goliath Forge Lord. Just like, please, Catalyst, leave me alone. Please just give me a moment's rest. And it's like, no. We've got a new game we're going to play. It's called How Many Jews Can We Steal?
What do you mean?
I don't know, how many Jews?
Jews can you steal?
We got one! Yay! I could just see them, like, pure and utter chaos and just driving this Goliath, this mighty Forge boss, just into, like, a stupor of just like, I'm beaten. You have got me. And then he's like, I'm going to sign a contract to join the PDF. Signs that contract with the PDF. Boom! Catalyzed!
You've been catalyzed, son.
Please.
He's just like, no,
Please,
I'm
I'm
done.
begging you.
Puts the pistol to his head, pulls the trigger, and it just pops out, bang.
Yeah. Or just flour, like just a little flour.
Catalyzed.
Catalyzed, yeah.
And there's this one catalyst following around, just going, catalyzed.
Catalyzed. Oh, they're a fun house. Anyway, we'll get to the rest of their read.
Let's so the Mind Frayed are insane. Like, if anything happens to them, they just stand there screaming. And if they get pinned, you have to roll a cool check. It's just like, they stand there screaming, and if you're not, like, chilled out enough, you just lose your mind as well. Like, they are a living terror bomb. Like, yeah.
And they came from a Juve.
Yeah, they came from stolen children.
Wow.
And I'm genuinely going to start a House Catalyst gang and just paint my Mind Frayed up as just a mime.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. With a little, like, beret and a black and white striped shirt.
Yes. Beret.
Yeah,
I'll use the beret from. I'll use one of the Scion heads with the berets.
Yeah.
Just paint his face white. Like, just make a real, like, sort of unsuspecting looking fella, and just every time I move him, just scream and spray people with my flour.
Yeah,
full of
so
Mountain
just a
Dew.
regular turn for you.
Yeah, honestly, it's the regular. Actually, because they are House Juggalo, it will be Fago, which is a type of soft drink from the United States.
Fago?
Fago.
What's that?
It's delicious. I'm thinking Moon Mist. To all maybe 2 fans of the Insane Clown Posse who listen to the show, you get me. But, I continue reading, please.
Oh no, I'm reading. I just need to understand what Fago is.
It's like soft drink.
Oh, it's just a soft drink.
Pop, I think they call it.
No, that's what they call, like, their granddads and stuff. Pop.
Isn't that Grandpa?
Grandpa. Oh, pop.
Pop.
Anyway, yes, we'll continue with the read. I was trying to be fun. Right. So this harps back to what we were talking about earlier, the Spire Hunters. House Catalyst sends its young men and women into Spire teams to prove themselves ready to rule like the other noble houses. They are sent to the ash waste to hunt the nomads descended from their ancestors' enemies in what is more a traditional ritual than genuine revenge. In practice, nomads, shanty dwellers, and even gilded caravans are all hunted as vermin who hate and fear the spires in return. So this is obviously a little bit of
It's that throwback
old
info, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit older lore because, with Secundus we know that all spires are,
Effectively
Helmawrs in some
Helmawrs,
way.
yeah.
Effectively Helmawrs, no matter how minor their case might be. But like any true born son of Necromunda, we do not believe that. The spire is not the suit you wear, but what's inside of you.
Maybe
and
the
also
real
suit
maybe
that you
the
wear.
real Spire was the friends we made along the way.
But if you're making friends along the way as a spire, you're getting it wrong.
Oh, sorry. Did I say friends? I meant corpses.
That perfect. There we go.
War crimes.
So, yeah, it's the war crimes you made along the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, I mean, this is a little bit iffy because it does contradict with, some now set bits of lore. But I think our idea of a House Catallus Spire team is brilliant, and so that should be canonized.
Catalyzed.
Catalyzed. I was hoping for you to jump. It's been catalyzed. That's a fact. All right. I guess we'll jump onto the. Yeah. Go on.
The one last thing we're going to talk about is actually also some very old N95 lore, and it's the double-bladed Catallus ritual knife. Now, anyone who remembers the old like ash waste nomad models from N95, they had these double-bladed knives where it was basically a regular knife but a blade on the other side as well. And the double-bladed knife was a ritual weapon traditionally carried by the members of House Catallus, dating back to the house's prominence. But since the exile, which was when the defeated half of House Catallus was sent out into the wastes, it has actually become a common weapon of the nomads and other outhivers, and is seen as a symbol of the nomads' struggles. The double-bladed knife allows a fighter to parry with it as if it was a sword, even though it was just a knife. And this was one of the coolest sort of bits you could get in N95 models. I still have some somewhere in my bits boxes.
Yeah, right.
But when the Zone Mortalis Underhive market was released, on the little weapons racks, there is actually a double-bladed knife.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. I've got my marketplace just over here, and I'm looking at those, and I'm like, there's so many things I want to do with them. But I think it was just such a cool throwback to sort of that N95 lore about the Catallus and the nomads, and how nomads traditionally were these weird confederations of basically out into the waste, never to be seen again types that had come together to sort of fight society. But yeah, that symbol was just, that knife became this symbol of sort of rebellion against the Imperium. I loved it. I love the knife. I love the.
It's the AK-47 of Necromunda. Then.
Exactly. It became the AK-47 of Necromunda. Just obviously much cooler than an AK-47.
Yeah, much cooler. It's a two-handed knife.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be silly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I do also see it being used by the Spira clowns, and like
100%.
it shoots out, but it's like a retractable one, so it shoots out with one knife, and they go to hand it over, like you're a man packed with us, and then they shoot out the other, and just stab the person in the head. You've been catalyzed. Yeah.
Catalyzed.
I'm literally trying to form an alliance with you. Catalyzed. See you later.
Catalyzed. Also, I'm taking your son. What? No. Just kidding. I'm taking your daughter. What? No. I actually lied. I've taken both of them.
Yeah, I've got them all.
Catalyzed.
You got any nieces or nephews?
Not anymore. Catalyzed. Do you reckon they would drive a Cadillac?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That's what all those,
sure.
the clown grinder, the clown spire cults are coming out of. They're coming out of a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Okay, House Catallus gang idea.
Oh,
And it can't be the one you've already had.
I honestly, I'm blown away by like where we've taken this. I'm a little bit stumped for a gang idea. Have you got something? Have you
I
something
I
swimming around
actually
inside
do.
your brain?
I actually do.
All right, let me hear what you
It's a
got.
bunch of murder clowns, and they basically live in it. They drive around in a Taurox, and then they get out 14 deep. No, I can't think of anything better than these
The
spires
nonsense we came
that
up.
are doing themselves up like the Orus. Like I'm genuinely do them all up as circus performers,
Yeah,
and where
yeah.
because all these spires are done like sleek or I am the knight, but I want to see this gang of spires in bright garish colours, like where
Yeah.
you look at them and they're the masks they've got the face paint or but you'd have to use the Harlequin masks, like the
Yeah,
masks from
yeah,
the Harlequins
definitely.
are perfect for this.
So, who is the flying spire? It's the
The Yelled, or as it's actually now
Yelled.
more commonly known, the worst type of Spira.
Oh,
Yeah.
righto. So instead of like having wings, it has balloons.
Oh my god.
It
Yes.
actually has balloons that floated around.
Instead of a
And
caryatid prime, it's a balloon poodle.
oh my god, that is brilliant with the little string, and it's just floating away.
It's just
So that's
floating.
how. Yes, absolutely. And the quick moving what is it? Chikara?
Chikara. That's the
Chikara.
sword and board type. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're quick movers, aren't
Yeah.
they? Yeah. Could you put them? Oh, you put them on a monowheel.
Oh my
Like
god,
just-
like a unicycle.
Unicycle.
No,
That's what
no,
I mean. Yes,
the
yes.
monowheel is the motorized unicycle. Yeah, they'd just be zipping around. Oh, dude. I'm just picturing
This
one
is a perfect
with
game.
an organ grinder, and it's this rattling that's chained to it, and they're like, "Oh, that's not good. You're holding that rattling prisoner." Excuse me, sir. The rattling's just actually holding onto the chain. He just jumps out and stabs you. Catalyzed.
Catalyzed, and then puts a little clown mask.
Puts a
on.
clown
I
mask
did
on.
good. I did good. Yeah, you did good. Honestly, you terrify me, and I terrify a lot of others. So I don't know what's going on with you.
This is my
Oh,
son,
well.
Tiny Catalyst. He's not a ratling. He's 3. Murder toddler. Okay,
Oh, that's cool. All right.
that's amazing.
Do we do a gang idea? I'm lost because I'm having so much fun with this Spire idea. Like, I kind of want to make a gang idea about them being all serious and so forth, but after coining the term catalyzed,
Catalyzed.
it just doesn't feel right. Because it's the kind of chaotic nonsense they would get up to.
Yes.
It'd be like, let's go out and catalyze stuff. Oh, love it. Love it. All right, yes. No, that's it. Do you know what? I'm going to say that's our collective gang idea for House Catalyst.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
I don't think we've done one of them before.
When I came up with Cult of the Bolt, and you sort of jumped on that as well.
How dare you? Anyway, we probably should maybe move on to another house, or are we going to...
I mean, we could. But
I'm feeling very catalyzed, though.
I'm
I
feeling-
kind of want to end it with catalyzed.
I want to catalyze this situation, but closing thoughts, because I have a very long quote to go on to after this one here. What are your closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts, I think I mentioned it earlier, House Greim are the toy soldier / cosplay soldiers of Necromunda, but respect to them, they found their niche, it works for them. House Catalyst are the best house. The best noble house.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? It's either House Grime playing its soldier, or House Catalyst honestly making what's the clown's name from It? Scrompy or like
I don't know, I've never watched them.
Batso,
watch
I don't know, whatever that clown's name is. They make him look like a totally normal and realistic person. It's just like, yeah, he's cool. Yeah, he eats kids, but, doesn't stab you, like, with a double-bladed knife, so, yeah.
Yelling out
Yeah,
catalyzed.
catalyzed. I love it. I love what we do, and yeah, this has been a really interesting first episode of this series.
Be thankful, scummers. Your betters have offered you a brief insight
And that's
into what it is.
Just shake,
be noble.
shake off this filthy persona that we've had to
Shake
put on for
off
this episode.
the Underhive. Yucky.
Now,
Yeah.
as you've all sat there and listened to these words handed down to you, literally from on high, I want you to think about everything we've told you, this brief insight that we've given you into the lives and mentality of your betters, where maybe you can find your local Greim representative, volunteer for the militias. Maybe you'll just be used in weapons testing, but know that it is the best thing that you can do for your family's name. And may the Emperor have mercy on you if you ever interact with House Catallus.
That's right, scummers. Remember that us nobles only want one thing of you, to serve the Imperium. And the best way to serve the Imperium is to die for the Imperium.
And some final thoughts here. A poem. A depth. A breadth. A place so steep. A hole so deep. Beyond edge of sight. Tipped into night. Down. Down. To velvet lake of phosphor shrouds, of twisting heat, of burning clouds, to where the spider mares abound, down to where my dreams are found. That is an excerpt from Abyssa Obscura and Other Visions, the collected works of Sceleris Greim. And that was our latest episode of the Upperhive Lorekeepers podcast. I am Spamuel, and on behalf of the Lorekeeper team, you are welcome for our presence. Make sure to do your duty and follow us on our social media pages, available in the show notes, and don't forget to follow and review us on your preferred podcast platform. As always, if you have questions, pointless complaints, unnecessary corrections, or if you need to get catalyzed, make sure to reach out to us at underhivelorekeepers@gmail.com. You're welcome.